Don't panic. There's nothing to worry about. This was just a glitch. The banking system is safe. Your money is safe. There's no reason to believe that the place where you keep your hard-earned savings would ever have any major issues. And now back to reality. You came here for the truth. Today we're going to look at the issue with Bank of America. We're going to talk about tech stocks and many other points. Let's get into this right away. We are looking at this article out of the Miami Herald. Customers shut out of their accounts for hours during Bank of America's system outage. This was not pre-planned. This wasn't a test. This happened. It was official. So, many would say, look, it was a glitch. It was a few hours. No big deal. Well, I'll tell you why that isn't the case. Bank of America customers were shut out from their accounts for several hours. This individual said that he got what looked like a phishing email from the bank. He called, wondered what's going on, started panicking, and then they realized this was part of a more widespread issue. So no matter which way people tried to access their accounts, they were unable to do so. So let's get into some of those posts through social media and what people were saying. Bank of America system-wide outage on the day I'm closing my house and there's nothing they can do about it. The next person says, you closed my bank account with no notice? How can I deposit my check when I'm no longer have an account stuck in Thailand? So these are two examples. I'll show you a few more. But essentially the point I'm trying to get across is, look, it was a few hours. For the majority of people, that's fine. Not a problem. Maybe they didn't even need to access their account during that period of time. But what about these guys? They needed to get into their account for serious things, and yet they couldn't access that because the bank was locked down for whatever reason. In this case, happens to be a glitch. Then we have the possibility that these are beta tests. I'm not saying that's what it is. Many people have said that when these type of things happen, there is a chance that it could be a beta test. I'm not denying that. I know that they do that. Whether this time specifically was a beta test, I don't know. But we know that at some point when the cashless society is fully implemented, they can own and control everybody with the touch of a button. And they will do so. We know that. It's just a matter of time. Now let me scroll down for a moment here. You can see this through the mobile app. We're sorry, we can't complete your request. So that's another example. Then you look at this. What's up? Not being able to transfer. System has been down for at least 3 hours. Going on. I can't make a deposit. There's a nationwide disruption. So think about that for a second here. You have a glitch, but it's not just affecting one ATM, one bank machine, or one bank. We're talking about all across the nation. These massive disruptions that can occur. And there's nobody who's going to be able to fix it in the time you need. You can't do anything. You can't speak to the manager. You can't escalate the issue. It is a nationwide disruption. And you will suffer as a result. What happens if this wasn't just for a few hours? What if it was a few days? What if it was longer? Well, people would then have a bank run? Well, how? They can't even access their money. This is the type of thing that I worry about all the time when you have bank holidays, bank runs, any type of glitches. You know, I've covered it on the channel before, but people who have gone to the ATM, they look at their account and it says they have $0. What's the problem? I'm just trying to take out money. You're telling me you have $0 in the account? And they go to the bank machines, $0. What is it? They complain. Finally, okay, it was just a glitch. And this happens not just, one-offs. It seems to happen at a fairly regular intervals, it seems. So I don't know what the story is exactly, but this is a cause for concern. Let's move on here. The major US stock indexes closed at record highs on Wednesday, helping partly by technology stocks, which surpassed a long-standing mark, despite the gains on the Dow being capped by a sharp drop in IBM shares. So this right here, surpassing the March 2000 dot-com boom, and right here, it has been the best performing sector this year with a 22.8% advance. So I want to get in, show you the chart here. The S&P 500 tech sector finally eclipsed a 17-year record on Wednesday. So you can see that here with the new high. The difference this time around between the dot-com boom, I would definitely say, I would agree with the fact that last time there was significant euphoria and it deserved to come crashing down, okay? There's no doubt about that. It just went up way too fast. This case, however, we have seen that the rise has been much slower. If you take it from the past, let's say, year, you'll see that, of course, it has gone into that euphoria moment. But comparing the two, you can see definitely this one has been a lot more steady. But the issue I have is, and what I want to address is that I have documented here on this channel that central banks are purchasing these tech stocks, pushing their prices up. So where would the stock prices be at if there was no central bank purchases? And that's, of course, a what if. And that's not the case. But it would be the case should they decide to sell. I think there's no reason why, if they would sell, that these would come tumbling down at least 50%. And a 50% drop isn't really unrealistic in terms of what we will see during the next recession, whenever that is. If it's going by Janet Yellen's theories, then it would be not in our lifetime. But let's just say that we can expect at least a 50% drop. That is very common. I mean, look at the financial crisis. Even though they had needed very little to actually recuperate their economy, or the stock market, I should say, then, it still required a lot of effort on their part, or at least seemingly. A lot of back and forth banter and all this garbage, when meanwhile they knew they were going to print money all the time. So, regardless of what's happening here with the tech stocks, I would just wanted to point out a couple things. I think I made my point. Let's move on to this. Tens of thousands of people who took out private loans to pay for college but have not been able to keep up the payments may get their debts wiped away because critical paperwork is missing. And what this article here out of the San Francisco Chronicle is talking about is that this is similar to the subprime mortgage crisis. Billions of dollars in subprime mortgage loans were ruled uncollectible by courts because of missing or fake documentation. So that's the situation that we are in today, when you realize that so much debt has been given out to people who shouldn't have it in the first place. And this, of course, causes the boom. That's what happened with subprime. People who even were not classified as subprime borrowers were getting mortgages. And the thought was, don't worry, because prices will rise indefinitely. They learned a hard lesson. And now things are looking rather different. But the amount of debt which has been accumulated in seemingly every sector is really making its way known right now. Look at this here as another example of all the debt, whether it's car loans, mortgages, student loans, personal debt, national debt, state, city, county, province, doesn't matter. There's debt on all levels. And here they are, some individuals might have that wiped off. We'll see. They already got their credit ratings boosted up, so this might be possible as well. The idea of a universal basic income, monthly cash payments from the government to every individual, working or not, with no strings attached, is gaining traction, thanks in part to endorsements from Silicon Valley celebs. So essentially, they showed Mark Zuckerberg, they showed Elon Musk, and basically said that we will need to have a universal basic income. Okay, you get paid regardless of what you do. You want to sit on the couch, you want to be a couch potato, that's okay. You're going to get a paycheck anyway. We love you. And that might seem like a good thing to some people. Elon Musk, I think he's different than what Mark Zuckerberg is saying, because Zuckerberg is really promoting the idea, whereas I feel that Musk is more along the lines of, we're going to take a lot of people's jobs away. They're going to need to have a universal basic income. We need to help them out. I see it as like two different things. Zuckerberg is saying, hey, let's be so wonderful and kind and let's give everyone this quote unquote free money. Whereas Musk is trying to say people are in for a big problem and they need money printed up and handed to them. I just think that the suggestions that it's not going to cost any more money is just ludicrous. They say that they're going to be able to have all these carbon taxes and taxes on financial institutions. They're going to be able to pull the money in from existing sources, and that will pay for this. So all of a sudden, everybody can get approximately $1,000 a month. That seems to be the general consensus. $1,000 a month for everyone, yet your taxes will not go up. If anyone believes that, truly, if anyone believes that, I want to speak to you personally. I just want to speak to you personally and look into your eyes and see what kind of drugs you're on, and I want to be on them. And last but not least, researchers at the University of Bristol found that the children of women who took pills in pregnancy were 41% more likely to be autistic, and they're specifically talking about antidepressants here. So it is interesting to see this link. They're saying that, it's a small link, but we are finding that to be the case. And I would just suggest that, this needs to be taken very seriously. The amount of pharmaceuticals that are given out to people in general, not even to necessarily women during pregnancy. I mean, it's bad enough with that, but just in general, it is something that is very frightening. I'll leave it at that. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. Last but not least, if you found this video informative, I know you will find my books, The Money GPS and my new release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. The first book talks about the 4 asset classes and how to profit from them, whereas the new book touches on the familiar subjects, but we're looking at things like becoming self-sufficient, solar panels, everything like that. If you want to take a look, Amazon has it. You can flip through the pages. Links are in the description. Take care.